Well, welcome to Noel's World of Whiskey. Now, I'm going to mention to you that I actually started this video a little earlier and we ran into a little problem, technical problem with the card or the memory card or the actual battery there. So here I go again. Not a big deal. We are going to finish off the Isle of Arran, yes, and I do have here the 18. I said I was going to do a review on the 18, and that is what I'm going to do. I did give you a little history when I did the 10. Interesting thing, when I was doing the 10, I was not aware that it did win the online World Whiskey Championships with Ralphie and Roy hosting it, and they are the brains and the collaborators behind those awards, and it has been incredibly successful. And of course, you, the folks that consume this beverage, that these companies are making money on, it is you that are doing the voting. And so we need to support both Ralphie and Roy, and we're supporting ourselves, and we're supporting some honest, I think some honest awards, because it's us, the consumer, that are voting for those awards. So Arran won, that's the Arran 10, won the World Online Championship for the best entry-level valued whiskey. And there were some other players out there. There was Glencaddam 10. It did quite well in the voting. Of course, Kilkerran, and which did very well considering that it's getting harder to get. And that's, of course, Springbank, or pardon me, Glengyle. And we had Lecheg from Tobermory. It did quite well. And Bunnahabhain also did very well, and that's these are all my favorites too. So one of the sleepers, and I think didn't get a huge amount of votes, but it was a player, was Loch Lomond, and I really think Loch Lomond is going to be a whiskey. You're going to see it's going to be one that is going to be starting to get more and more interest and more focus, because it's one that I'm impressed with. It's 46% ABV. They've taken a different approach. They've done some changes in their bottlings, non-chill filtered, and I do think, I'm trying to think it, I think it's Mike Henry is the distiller. I think they're starting to listen to what the customer is looking for, the public is looking for. And we're seeing more distilleries starting to do that. So the non-chill filtering, no added color. I think the non-chill filtering is important for most of us. I really believe that we're seeing that in your Irish whiskies. We're seeing it over here in the States and Canada. People want non-chill filtered. So hopefully that message gets to the big guys like Diageo and Edrington, and some of the companies that have been producing whiskey for a good number of years, that there might be a different focus today than what there was in the past, where they were trying to control the color a lot more. And certainly the concern was when you added water to a lot of these non-chill filtered whiskeys, they do get a little bit of mist in them. Some of my bottles have some mist, because every once in a while, if I'm getting low on a bottle there, and I'm not finishing a whiskey, I don't throw it away. I pour it back in the bottle, and it might have a wee bit of water in it. So, anyways, that just did. It was good to see that the Arran did quite well in the voting, and quick history. Harold Curry, the ex-Chivas director, and also for Great Britain, and ex-D-Day, World War II D-Day veteran, and he did win the Legion of Honor in a presentation before he did pass away. Between him and, of course, David Hutchison, his architect friend, they are the creators of that, or the idea behind building that distillery. Of course, David Hutchison did have a home on the Isle of Arran. He had lots of friends and relatives, family on the island, so he had the connections. And of course, Harold Curry was the brains. Now, when they put the shovel in the ground, they'd had a lot of setbacks, and certainly finances was the key thing. but I think it was 1994 they got started. They had a couple of eagles nesting that slowed things down a bit, and now it's gotten to be, they are certainly something people look forward to every year, those eagles coming back to do their nesting, and that they seem to be part of that distillery scene. But anyways, in 1995, at the age of 70, Harold Curry and David Hutchison were able to see the first spirit pour. And now they have the Leg distillery they've built, second distillery. In the early years, there wasn't a lot of profit. As most distilleries that start off, there isn't a lot of profit. And as as they progressed, went through some tough times and all that, and Harold Curry had his sons involved as well. They did pull out eventually their investment, but they kept connected with the distillery. I believe David Hutchison, he stayed in. Certainly, he was in it after Curry pulled out. And now he's Ewan Mitchell is a major shareholder, and he is the director and a guy with a lot of experience in whiskey too, from the Mitchell family, the Springbank Mitchell family. And the master distiller James McTaggart from Bowmore, the good Bowmore years. Well, Bowmore's still doing quite well, but he would have worked with Jim McEwen because he was there for 30 years, and of course he is there. He was their master distiller, now moved up to their director of production and that. And they do have a new distillery manager at Lacranza. It's now called Lacranza because now they have Leg Distillery, so it's no longer Arran Distillery, it's Lacranza, Lacranza Distillery. And I believe that is Stuart Bowman, who took over from David Livingston. And he's got lots of experience in the whiskey business as well. And of course, they have, and I do not know the guy that is the distiller for Leg, but we'll get in once we start doing some reviews on theirs. I'll get into their history. There's a lot of names and history to remember here, but what we're seeing is that the Isle of Arran has a distillery in the Highland, that's Lacranza, and it has a distillery in the Lowland, and that is Leg Distillery. So that Highland Lowland fault line, it runs right through the center of the Isle of Arran. So, and who knows, if they get another distillery, maybe they can be like Campbelltown, they can be a region. So, but anyways, that's sort of the quick history of it. The Queen did visit in 1997, the last trip of the Royal Britannica, the goodbye voyage, and she did come up and open up the visitor center. The distilleries are doing much better today, and we are going to pour ourselves a dram of the 18, and let's get into it. I am a little mellowed out here because it was a very warm day today after work. I went for a bike ride, went for a long bike ride. The first one with not a lot of, I didn't have a lot of my normal clothing because it's been a little cooler, the weather, so that today was a warm spring day. And I went for a good long bike ride, and coming back here I'm now slowing down a bit, so it's going to be a mellow review, and we're going to start with the nose. Right off the bat, berries, citrus notes, orange, blood orange maybe. And we're getting some savory notes there. Very aromatic. And it's not what I was expecting because it's not as sweet a nose as the 10. Lots of tartness here, but it's the berries, and boy, it's like a ripe blackberry, and maybe some currants, huckleberries, a ripe huckleberry. Again, the blood oranges are there. Wee bit of the dark chocolate, yeah, maybe even a slight bit of tobacco in the background there. And you're getting a little, 46%, I believe. So you are getting a little bit of the alcohol. And I will mention it. This is ex-bourbon, matured ex-bourbon, and finished in I think it's Oloroso. It's sherry cask. I think it's Oloroso. And I'm not sure of the time. They usually a minimum a year, but it could be a couple of years. So there's I'm going to show you the color of this because it's a dark whiskey. It's a very dark whiskey. And this is the new bottling. I explained that in the 10-year-old review there. So you can just see the darkness of it there, eh? Get my arm up here just so you can see some light through it there, and then you'll. And of course the new bottling, but it is a darker, certainly much darker than the 10, and you'd expect that it's 18 years. So naturally colored and chill filtered. So there we are. And hopefully I got it focused this time again. So there, that's one more time if I'm out of the focus there. So there you are. Okay. And I was going to this time make sure, I'm going to look for legs here too and just see what we're doing for legs here. So, a little bit there, low legs, so lots of legs. So I'm certain I am going to notice it on the pellet. Some body to this, so let's go to the pellet. Berries. Very slight burn. Very slight burn. Berries. More berries. Tartness. The blood orange for sure. I think that was a good descriptor, blood orange. Dark chocolate. Dark chocolate and blood orange. Getting little bit of ginger. Ginger notes. Hot ginger. The pepper. And the pepper could be confused a little bit with the tobacco. The tobacco is slight, somewhere between pepper and tobacco. And good coating on the tongue. Oily. This is a rich drink. It's not a sherry bomb though. It's a very rich drink because I think the wood, the wood presence. Like I'm not getting vanilla. I'm getting honey. More like a fireweed honey. And if you've had fireweed honey, like really good Canadian fireweed honey, like from the mountain areas, and that, it's very spicy. It's got a strong, very strong taste to it, and that's what this is. It's got the fireweed honey to it. But I'm going to have to top this one up. Oh, blood orange. Boy, that's a good descriptor for this. And the ginger a little more so now. I'm starting to really identify with the ginger and the tobacco notes. When I say there's a good coating, it's on my tongue, it's on the side of my mouth. It's not dry. I mentioned that the Arran, they had left a velvet, kind of a velvety texture to it. I'm getting a slight bit of that too. I think this is going to have a really nice finish to it. So I'm going to say it. Well, let's do it to the finish. definitely is going to be a medium long finish. The wood. I've got a bit of the wood. The 18 years showed up. But not heavy vanilla notes. It's the honey. I'm going to stay with the fireweed honey. Tobacco notes in the background. Mixed now with a little bit of the nutmeg. And I mentioned the savory notes on the nose when we started off. There's just, I think it's the fireweed, like fireweed, it's got some aromatic notes to fireweed honey. And that's why I'm relating to this with the fireweed honey. So we thought of the 10 as more of a, it was kind of creamy, and it was more of like a cherry blossom, which of course is maraschino, chocolate, and that more of a sort of a medium milk chocolate, medium in terms of its mix between dark and milk chocolate. It's a sort of it's a darker milk chocolate is what it is with the maraschino cherry. And we used to have them a lot when we were kids. I just can't eat that stuff anymore. It's murder on my teeth, and it's just too rich. But the Arran is like that. The Arran 10 was like that. It had a little of that Lowney's blossom. That used to come in a little square box, you know, and it was a big, you know, it was a big maraschino cherry with the, you know, chocolate covered nuts. It's like taking a chocolate out of a box of chocolates and amplifying it and making it big enough that it would fill this whole glass. That's what it was like, you know, and it was all wrapped and packaged up in that Lowney's cherry blossom, yeah. But this is not that. That was the 10. This has wandered away from that creamy, rich milk, or we'll say semi-milk chocolate to, if anything, it's more the dark chocolate. Not the real bitter dark chocolate, but certainly the dark chocolate mixed with orange. So, medium long finish, oily. This is a really nice dram. And something I'm going to say, you know, we've got some whiskeys out there that are quite pricey, and I'm not going to criticize them, you know. I'm going to say they're pricey. You know, a Macallan's is over $500, $550, I think, here in Canada. And I got a 15 kicking around here. I don't have any more 18s. The last 18 I had was 7 or 8 years ago. It certainly wasn't that price, but I used to get 18 Macallan spot for me when I was when I would deliver my fish. I was a commercial fisherman. I think if you watch my reviews, you'll know that. And when I was delivering my fish in my trawler, had a 44-foot trawler in that, and I would come into a place on the north end of the island there, and there were several places I used to deliver, but one place I started getting red carpet treatment. I was delivering a high quality fish. We had refrigeration systems and that where we kept our fish a certain temperature, and when they came in, even after 9-10 days, those fish are like they were caught within the last couple of days. They were, and this was a refrigeration ice system, so it's for the fresh water, the fresh food market. And that so I would get a bottle of Macallan's, 18-year-old Macallan's, when I came in. They knew where I was coming in. And the head of the company there, and he came up a lot of times when I delivered. He'd be there right in the, and it was up in the north end of the island, a place called Beaver Cove, and that Lionsgate fish. And that so I got some pretty special treatment with the Macallan's. In those days, man, Macallan's was a good whiskey, and so I took it for granted. And I had lots of Macallan's, and today I can't afford a Macallan's. And my 15, I've got a couple of 15s there I've had, and I got one sitting there. It's I got a good amount of it, and that might be the last Macallan's. I got a sherry too. Still like the whiskey, but this to me, I would buy this any day over Macallan's. If Macallan's came down to $250 and this priced around the $200 range, I'll still say this can match any Macallan's. So they've done this, like Macallan's have been around a long time. They've done this in a very short time. Now, I believe it was Mitchell was the distiller before he I'm pretty sure that he was working on the original whiskeys there, so he certainly would have something to do with this whiskey here. And of course, James McTaggart would have finished it off, but he's got years of experience in working with Jim McEwen, who's another icon in the industry. So why can't they produce this stuff? You know, these guys have they've been at it a long time. So, and the only reason I brought up Macallan's, I'm just trying to compare price-wise what you're looking at. So we're looking at 18-year-old whiskeys. This is a really good whiskey, and I'm sort of giving away where I'm going to score this, I guess. So I better have another shot here. So I settle down for the score. So I believe this is somewhere between an 87 and an 88. I'm going to put the score on the review. I'll be done the review. This gives me some time to reflect on this, because it is a really good whiskey, and I'm hovering between 87 and 88 on it. And I'm just going to say, for gosh sakes, if you can find a bottle of this, put it in your wheelhouse. Put it on your shelf. It's well worth it. I went out looking for this. It was a smart investment as far as I'm concerned. So, Arran 18, it is a must. Arran 10, definitely something you should have on your shelf or in your wheelhouse. However you want to think of what is in your cupboard. I kind of like the wheelhouse because I'm fishing background, so, and I did have whiskeys in the wheelhouse, but I did not drink while I was fishing. That's a no-no. But anyways, 87, 88. I'm going to ask you to drink wisely, drink intelligently, do not drink and drive. Until the next time, so lunch.